Welcome to Austin Eras, the podcast that unravels Austin's transformation into a 21st century boomtown and explores its potential future. Brought to you by Collective Advisors, Austin Eras takes you on a journey through the city's evolving landscape and rich history, offering insights into its dynamic past, present, and future.
Welcome to the Austin Eras podcast. I'm your host, Adam Flagg, and I'm joined by a dynamic duo today. It's our third two-person podcast that we've had in a little bit, and this is some of my favorite people in Austin. I've known them for a very long time. Billy Moyer and Ashley Alaniz Moyer, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to tell a little bit about our listeners about who you are, and maybe we can share some stories about how we know each other as well. But Billy Moyer is an award-winning speaker, author, and founder of SOS Leadership, an international leadership and organizational development firm. By the age of 7, yeah, you heard me right, 7, Billy had already delivered his first speech following in the footsteps of his father, Bill. Since then, he's spoken over 1,250 times and helped organizations across the country reshape their culture through people development. His firm's Chief People Officer program places coaches and partner companies to lead people strategy and performance. He's also the co-author of 4 books and the co-host with his wife, Ashley, here of the I Do, We Do podcast, which they did for 82 episodes, which is pretty impressive. And they built an epic partnership together through communication and goal setting. I think they're a really amazing married couple. Billy was the 2024 Austin Under 40 Award winner in the People and Operations category. Now to Ashley. She's the executive director of the Hispanic Scholarship Consortium and a passionate advocate for equity in education. She graduated from TCU up in Fort Worth and moved to Austin and earned an MBA from Concordia University here in Texas. Ashley's nonprofit leadership work has earned her recognition from the Austin Business Journal, Austin Woman Magazine, and of course the Austin Under 40 Awards. They were a dynamic married couple. She is a 2018 winner in the Youth and Education category. She brings warmth, strategy, and deep community ties to her work, and alongside Billy, co-leads the Bashley Collaborative, a joint venture that integrates leadership development and storytelling through podcasting and community building. She's also co-founder of the Refuerzo Collaborative, and they form a powerhouse couple. They do a lot of work here in Austin. We first met, I'm thinking 2011. Is that right?
It'd be 2011. I think we first met in 2010. I think you would have met Ashley in 2011.
2011. Yeah. And I met through your sister, Amber, who I went through a Leadership Austin class. And the next thing I know, we're in this old office building right next to Loro. And little did I know, not only had I met Billy at that time, but I met his future wife, Ashley. So it's really cool to have known you guys that long and seen you just do amazing things in Austin.
Yeah, it's cool that we go back that far, especially here in Austin. I think going back more than 5 years with anybody is kind of a big deal, and still all being in the same place.
Yeah, I mean, what have we seen? Austin, you see some people that become really involved, do a lot of things, and then they move.
Yeah.
And they disappear. You don't see necessarily people that are here 10, 15 years for the long haul.
Yeah, I think we've seen that a lot. I feel like we often talk about being those same people. I talk about being those same people because I always want to leave because I get really antsy and don't like being in the same place too long. So I'm always ready to move. Ashley,
I'm a planter. I like to have roots. Yeah.
She goes where I go though, so
yeah.
She tends to.
I'm easily convinced. I always say that when we have really tough conversations, there's moments where I'll look at him and be like, okay, I feel this way, but I'm also leaving you this much room to convince me. So I'm like giving you the window to change my mind.
I mean, you travel, you get away, so you don't have to feel so planted in Austin. And you're going soon to Vegas to see, who are we seeing?
Backstreet Boys. Yes,
Backstreet
very excited.
Boys. I love it. So you've seen them how many times?
I have seen them 4 times. Billy's seen them three of those 4 times with me.
If you say it's 3, yeah. I feel like it's only 1, but if you say it's that many.
And no, we saw them in Vegas.
Oh, and then in Austin too, right?
In Austin.
Okay, yeah.
And then
I like Backstreet Boys. I'm not a huge fan. She's a huge fan. I get dragged
supportive
to
husband.
Yes.
Now ask how many times I've seen Bruce Springsteen because of him.
Yes, it's a lot.
A lot. So we're already going into music like right off the bat. So this is Austin. I mean, how can you not? But I want to rewind a little bit. So Billy, I know you're a passionate Philadelphia fan, Philadelphia sports. You've got ties to Pennsylvania. But how did you guys get to Austin? How did each of you get here?
Yeah, so I mean, my story goes back a long way. So I'm originally from outside Philadelphia, Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And when I was a kid, we moved to Waco, Texas. which was a big culture shock. A little bit of a difference. I always like to share that when we moved to Waco, Texas in the early 90s, nobody knew what Waco, Texas was. And then about a year later, everybody knew what Waco, Texas was because of the Branch Davidians and David Koresh and all that craziness. Funny that I'm in a leadership field, like I teach people about leadership, and I moved to Waco, and then there was a leader there that kind of changed a lot of things. So moved to Waco, Texas. I never felt at home. I don't think I've ever felt at home anywhere other than in Philadelphia, and which is interesting. I'm not even from the city of Philadelphia. I'm from outside Philadelphia. But I always say I wanted to go back to Philly. That didn't end up working out. I found my way to Austin to come to St. Edward's University and looked and said, if I'm going to be in Texas, Austin's about the only place I would be. And I've never left.
You're our second or third guest, I think, from St. Edward's. We had Alicia, who we all know here, Alicia Palacios Woods. But it's interesting that you got here that way. You came to Austin through St. Edward's. And I think you grew up in the DFW area, correct?
Correct, yeah.
What part? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I grew up in a city called Bedford, Texas, and then moved a whole 8 miles away to a city, Colleyville, Texas, and graduated from Grapevine High School. I think of those cities, those are all mid-cities.
Yeah.
Labeled as mid-cities. Grapevine is the one that maybe people outside of the DFW can recognize of those. Yeah.
Closest to the airport, Great Wolf Lodge.
Yes, all those reasons. Yep, yeah.
Okay, so you did that. You went to TCU.
Yes, wanted to stay close to home. I'm such a family person that I wanted to be close to home, so it was perfect being, 35 minutes away from home at TCU, and loved every minute of it and really enjoyed my time there. Fell in love with the color purple, and then ended up at Concordia as well, that has almost the same shade of purple. So it works out nicely that all my gear can represent my two alma maters there. Yeah, and came to Austin because of this guy. But we met when I was working with Big Brothers Big Sisters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was at AmeriCorps Vista with them, so I had a 1-year volunteer placement with them. And during that time, met his childhood best friend, who was my coworker. And, I think what I thought was just one night where coworkers were getting drinks was maybe something a little more mastermind between our friend who introduced us, because I think maybe we have different perspectives on the night that we met. But I thought it was just casual, people meeting up, and then come to find out that that person was trying to connect us and set us up. And I guess, as they say, the rest is history. It was...
I will say, you ran with that, trying to connect us. And by run, I mean stole my phone and put her number in my phone.
Wow.
So, there's that whole love at first sight thing, and I don't think I believe in that personally, but she does, because obviously that happened.
So, Ashley, you grew up in the largest city, I guess, Houston's largest city, right behind that, the DFW area. You went right into nonprofit work, education work, right off the bat. How did growing up in the area, Bedford, Colleyville, Grapevine, kind of shape what you wanted to do for your future in leadership?
Yeah, so I had some really interesting educational experiences, I think, in my lifetime. Grew up in Bedford, which is part of the Hearst Euless Bedford School District, and a lot of this reflection has now happened as an adult, but I had a conversation with my parents recently, and I'm like, I just feel like that school district was really diverse. And then I go on Google just a couple years ago, and I see it's the #1 diverse school district in the state of Texas. So I realized that my perception of what my experience was in those schools was correct. It was, equally diverse in so many different, ethnic groups. And then when we moved to a predominantly white suburb. And it felt like, even though it was, those cities touch, it felt like miles away. It was so completely different. And I think also being, 13 years old when we moved is a tough time for teenage girls all the time.
Yeah.
Where you're just going to hate your parents for any decision that they're making that doesn't feel in alignment with you. But, I, again, have processed it more as an adult than I did, I think, in the moment, where I just felt so out of place, felt so different. And now as an adult, have had those moments to go, okay, that's what I was feeling. I didn't know the words then. I didn't know what was happening, but that's kind of been my experience. I think kind of felt a little bit more of that even going to TCU, which is, again, a predominantly white institution as well. And then kind of coming to Austin, I went, oh, that's what I was feeling. Okay, it was because I was in these again, predominantly white spaces that I always kind of felt othered and just kind of had to roll with it. Often was like the punchline of many jokes, and just to fit in had to kind of rock with it. And then coming to Austin, I'm like, oh, I see people who look like me, who have backgrounds like me, who have experiences like me. And it just kind of opened my eyes up completely. So while I really love DFW and everyone that, my family that's still there and childhood friends that are there, it's always kind of a little bit different now when I reflect back on my childhood time and, really feel more at home here in the Central Texas area.
And so you've been in Austin for a long time. We were going back 2011, right?
Yes.
Sometime in there. And you became executive director of the Hispanic Scholarship Consortium not too long after that?
Yeah, about 4 years after that. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been in that role for a decade plus now?
Yes, yeah. It's been a while. I feel like an old sage now, having a job that I've had for over a decade. Yeah.
What does your job entail? What do you guys do there?
Yeah, so we award scholarships to local Latino students. So it's really exciting for me, again, sharing what I shared, but having the opportunity to, what I say, play like fairy godmother to students, where I just magically make scholarship checks show up in their mail and make, college more affordable, more accessible to, local Latino students.
That's incredible. I love that. You've done a really good job of the organization growing it, and I'm sure really seeing the fruits of your labors. Billy, I want to turn to you for a second. I mean, reading your bio and having met you, it doesn't surprise me that you gave your first speech at age 7 and that you were just confident and got on stage in front of a bunch of people. You have a father, Bill, who I've known for a long time as well, who kind of grew up in this same space. Tell me a little bit about growing up with your father and this leadership idea and what SOS is today and how that all kind of evolved.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to tell people that I had a very unique childhood. When most kids were focused on going outside and playing, I was going through a goal-setting program, writing down my goals, my dreams, putting timetables on them, all that fun stuff. So I went through my first goal-setting program when I was 4 years old. One of the goals that I wrote down was that I wanted to be just like my dad. That's similar to a lot of kids. Our son, Lincoln, now, who's about to turn 6, I think he probably would say the same thing because he likes to do everything that I do.
Well, he did get to see you speak.
And he did get to see me speak.
Earlier this year and said, wait,
cool.
That's a job?
Yeah.
He said, I want that job when I get big.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. And so
it's either that or construction worker because he's very into tractors. So who knows?
So I wrote down that goal, and then as I started to clarify it, and realized, well, being just like my dad, what does that mean? It means I want to speak. That's what I saw his job as. Like, I always saw him talking in front of people. So a couple of years later, I clarified it even more. I had a severe speech impediment that I had to overcome, and I set a goal, overcame that, and the goal that I ended up writing down was that I wanted to give speeches and get paid money just like my dad. Not too long after that, he was giving the opening keynote for a small conference that was also in Waco, Texas, where we were living at the time. And he gave, in the keynote, he talked about the power of goal setting, and he shared my story. Goal setting is so simple that a 6-year-old kid can set a goal to overcome a speech impediment, and shared that story. People were excited, but they challenged him afterwards and said, well, has he accomplished the full goal yet? Has he actually given a speech? And he said, no, I mean, he just turned 7, so we've got time. And they said, well, you're giving the closing keynote. Why don't you bring him back and let him speak as well? So he brought me back, came and picked me up from a summer camp that I was in. He asked me, as he picked me up, hey, the group wants you to come in and give a speech. Are you up for that? I said, absolutely. I want to do that. That sounds awesome. But I said, first I have to go home and put on my suit. Because I was a little kid that liked to wear suits. I got a briefcase. I had my day planner where I planned out all my days, my weeks, my months.
I wish he was joking, but I've seen the photos in his parents'
house.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was 100%
I was a
true.
loser.
I love it.
Yeah,
No.
I had no friends, right? No friends. But I looked really good. So I got there. I get in front of the group. Nothing comes out. And, the group was kind of 50-50 split, men, women. You had some that were, go, Billy, you can do it, trying to motivate me. I had another group of people that were saying, oh, poor baby, why can't, you're going to be okay. It's fine. You don't have to do it. One person there that was very upset, not at me, at my dad, and said, it's parents like you, especially fathers, that ruin their kids forever.
Oh, my gosh.
By trying to live out their dreams through them. Can't you see that he's afraid? And
Did you hear that?
I heard that, yeah.
Wow.
I looked right up at her, and I said, ma'am, I moved to Texas at this point, right? I had good manners. I said, ma'am, I'm not afraid. My goal wasn't to give a speech. It was to give a speech and get paid money. So my dad put $5 on the podium. I said it's going to be worth $20. He put $20 on there. Speech came out. And that was the start of the thousands of presentations that I've now given. And the cool thing about it is, not only did I get to speak, which was accomplishing the goal, but I got to share my story of setting a goal, working towards achieving it, and actually achieving it. Yeah. And then inspire people to do the same. And if you can think about it, like any conference, any event that you've ever gone to, and there's a speaker, if they get up, and my dad at this point, I thought he was old back then, and he's definitely old now. But if you see an old white guy get up as your speaker, like, okay, what's this guy gonna say? Can you imagine seeing a 7 or 8 year old kid coming out as your speaker? And what we would do is we do this intro where they'd introduce my dad, but then I would come out instead, and I would do basically the first 15 minutes. And he didn't have to do anything after that. Like, they were so excited. I had this routine I would do because I like adding some drama, some flair. I did a whole series of speeches built around basketball.
Okay.
And because I was about as good a basketball player as you could be when you're as small as I have always been. So until people caught up with me, athleticism-wise, I was always the best player in every team I played on. And I would do globetrotter tricks, and that would kind of get every people excited. Then I'd give the speech and just go from there. And so all of that really shaped my childhood. I grew up speaking to teenagers who were older than me, to business professionals in other states, conventions, everything you could imagine I've spoken at. And, I would sit in meetings with some of the giants in the leadership space, Ken Blanchard, John Maxwell.
Yeah.
These people that people have read their work, I know their stories. I sat in meetings. There's a fun story that Ashley always laughs at where I was sitting in one meeting and I paused and said, do you all mind if I take notes? And just a random kid, and they thought it was fun. Ashley always makes fun of me now for it. But all that shaped what I do now, which is help leaders improve themselves, help them improve their businesses. And how do you do that? By having clearly defined goals, right? Every good organization has a clear vision. They understand what they're doing. They can communicate effectively. They understand how to collaborate and work together as a team. There's a lot of business things that go into that I now do that I didn't do when I was young, but I can't tell you how many days go by where I say something that I can vividly remember hearing my dad say the exact same thing 25, 30 years ago. And what he said, it's not because I'm copying him, it's because what he said was so important at that moment and still has kind of held the test of time.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So the impact of your childhood has really kind of led you to what you do today. And I think both of you, had different experiences that have brought you here. I want to talk a little bit more about the early days of Austin. Let's talk about the early days of you two being in Austin. 2010, 2011, this time when you're together. I know you were here earlier, Billy, going to school, but what was the early days of your relationship like and really getting involved in the Austin community? I assume that had to be intentional to really focus and find the places to give back.
Yeah, so I think I moved here without a job. So I kind of jumped straight into the networking scene that he had already kind of cultivated some groups or had some ideas in mind for me at that time. I think the very first event I ever attended here in Austin was actually an Austin Young Chamber event.
Okay.
And I, remember hearing Cap Metro speak about all these. So it was very much like a welcome to Austin moment. It was also early 2011, so there was a lot of conversation of 10-1 and realignment. It was that time. So I felt like I was kind of coming into Austin at a time where a lot of change was happening. So I got to be, I think, here with that change and kind of see a lot of those things that were happening. But, really, I feel like jumped straight in through networking groups and then kind of found some of my own groups as well to be a little bit separate from him. Because I think when you move to a new city for someone, it's always tough to kind of find your own identity. And, I had maybe a couple friends. I had a college friend that I moved in with and was really grateful for her and making it way more affordable for me to be able to be here. But really, I mean, I think you even emphasized this quite a bit for me too, is like, you got to go find your own thing. Like, it can't just be always these groups as me. Because I think also him speaking, I often, just for fun, was always tagging along and, you know, selling his books in the back of the room. And it would be like, oh, is this your job? And I'm like, wait, no, I do have my own identity outside of him. It's great. It's fine that you're just kind of referring to me as Billy's wife, but like, I do have a name, and it's Ashley, and I want you to know that name too. So I think, yeah, I mean, getting started really started with, you know, all these wonderful networking groups and communities that we have here in town.
One business idea that I feel like we need to capitalize on is selling Ashley to speakers who want people designated laughers, because she has a really like amazing laugh, and she also kind of thinks everything's funny. So when she goes to anything I speak at, it's the best, because I say something and she's heard me say it 1,000 times. She laughs like it's the first time she ever heard it. And then everybody else laughs because of her, not because of me. And so I always tell other speakers, I'm like, I can, you know, give you Ashley. It'll cost you.
Or comics.
Yeah.
I think comics would love
Comics
that too.
would
Yeah.
love
Bad stand-up comics. You could be
We
like
should
for
sell
hire.
that. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. That's good. So you guys spent a lot of time in Austin. You got married what year?
2011. So yeah, we met in 2010. It was a quick thing. So we met in April of 2010, went on our first date in May of 2010. We're engaged by November of 2010.
Oh my gosh.
And married by November of 2011.
You guys move really fast, but that's incredible.
So we went like within a year and a half of meeting each other, we were already married and living together.
Yes, which was a whole different thing, because knowing people and getting to know each other, learning things, that it takes time. Like, there's a reason why people date for so long. I think I wouldn't change now the way that we kind of did things. But, you know, when I think back to the hardest year that we've had in our relationship, it was actually the first year of marriage. Because the reality is we were young and we didn't really know each other yet. So we got to know each other while married, living together. It was
on-the-job training.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay. All right. So I know, Billy, you and I have done different things throughout the city, but one of the things was the Austin Young Chamber. You joined the board. I was on the board. I got to serve as chair. Then you got to serve as chair in 2017, 2018. And Ashley, you're everywhere. You can just walk in a room and I feel like you can take control and lead something very easily. So you really helped a lot with the Lead Summit. You've done a lot of different things around the city. But what was it like, I think, jumping into leading in Austin? What does the experience of leadership in Austin look like for both of you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have trouble not leading. And so I typically tend to get into things and I'll tell Ashley, don't let me be the chair, don't let me be the leader. And of course, I end up being the chair or the leader. That's kind of just naturally how I've always been. So I don't feel like being like stepping up and leading in Austin was difficult for me, because things kind of come naturally and I have kind of an aggressive style.
Kind of?
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah, I'm a goal, right?
But we know where you stand.
Yeah, it's the same kid who set a goal and accomplished it like that. Like, I still do that. If I see something that needs to get done, I want to go fix it. So, you know, I don't think it was all that difficult for me to find ways to lead. I do think, you know, it's challenging in our city as a young leader, because the same leaders today in really 2025 are kind of the same leader. I mean, literally, the leader of our city is the same leader that we had in 1999, which, you know, no shade at our mayor, but I think being a leader in Austin is difficult when you're younger. And I mean, when I started my business, I was 21, and so trying to fit into rooms where there was 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old people was challenging. Easier for me because that's all I've ever known. I've always been around people older than me. But I can imagine for other folks coming up in Austin, when you think about the Young Chamber, people trying to kind of develop themselves as leaders, finding a chance, an opportunity to actually lead, it's kind of hard. And I think one of the reasons it's hard is I'm not sure we have a lot of leaders here that like to take step backs and allow other people to step up. I don't know if we do a great job in our city of the most important job of a leader, which is developing other leaders.
Mentorship.
I think, that's why the Young Chamber was a great idea and still is a great idea, because we have to develop leaders. As a city, what are we going to do when our leaders that have been leaders for the last 30 years die? Who's been developed to kind of take over? And I think there's a way to do that, but part of that is understanding the ego side of that, which is, as a leader, if I'm going to develop somebody else to lead, that means I have to step back and actually allow them to lead, which doesn't always happen, especially in politics.
And it sounds like young leaders sometimes typecast, perhaps, in the city, where you're kind of stuck as the young leader and not necessarily...
I think so. I think it's hard to make that transition. And again, some of that is current leaders, some of that is the makeup of the city, some of that's just our own kind of self-doubt, indecision, fears that we have. But yeah, I would say Austin is a challenging place to lead as a younger professional. But I think if you are aggressive enough, you can be successful. And then it's about what do you do from there. So for me, I'm not looking to be the leader forever in everything that I'm involved in. I want to develop somebody else. The favorite thing that I do is not what I get paid to do. It's when I find a couple leaders that are young, up and coming, that I just want to help. I meet with them. I want them to succeed. Honestly, the greatest moment for me, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, over the last 15 years in my own business is actually when Ashley got the Austin Under 40 award. Like seeing her success, so much cooler than mine. Like it was cool to get the award last year for me, but honestly it was kind of a letdown. Like I was thinking back to how cool it was when she won. I'm like, I'm not put on this earth to get recognized. I'm put on this earth to help others people get recognized.
Well, Ashley, I mean, he just put you on the spotlight here. I mean, tell us your experience when it comes to leadership in Austin.
Yeah, I think my take's a little bit different. And, I'm someone who never really saw myself as a leader. I'm someone who shows up and fills gaps. And I think because of that, then became seen as a leader. I think that's how I've always operated, even in high school and student clubs and in college, was just showing up to meetings, figuring out what I needed to do to help give back, and then, eventually would take leadership roles on in clubs and organizations. And then kind of seeing that be the same thing that's happened for me here in town as well, is just consistently showing up, figuring out where those gaps are, and understanding where my skills can kind of fit in, and just kind of always being willing to help and figure out what's next. I think for me, I struggled for a long time seeing myself as a leader, despite whatever roles I had professionally, even in the community, never really saw myself as a leader. I'm like, no, I'm just here to give scholarships to students. But then had some wonderful opportunities come my way through our previous mayor Adler, serving on his task force for institutional racism and systemic inequities. And in that moment when I was asked to join that, and I looked at the roster of people who were serving on that task force, I'm like, why me? Like at that point, I think I was a whole 28, 29, maybe 30 years old. And I was like, there's so many people who have been doing this work for decades. So unlike Billy, who's like so comfortable being with other folks, I'm like, no, I don't belong in that room. Like this is for people who have been here, who know deep history of Austin, not someone who I guess at that point was here for like less than a decade, but recognizing that because of the work, because I consistently show up, listen to others, that is something that is a good characteristic of a leader. And it took me a long time, I think, to really kind of see that or recognize that in myself.
I think like just jumping to leadership in general and being the leadership guy, like I think people too often complicate leadership and think that it's way more than it is, right? Oh, I've got to have this certain title, I've got to have these skills, this degree, and really it is showing up. So when I talked about that it's difficult to lead in this town as a young professional, if I really look at why I've been able to do it, it's because I did show up. And so I think we do that sometimes. We create these excuses of why we're not leading. And it's, oh, well, I'm too young. I'm too this. I'm too that. But if you show up, opportunities will present themselves, right? It's just like the person that complains about politics, complains about our political leaders, but then you find out they haven't voted in 10 years.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
It's self in a lot of ways. It's the confidence. It's showing up. I'm curious a little bit about how you guys have worked together in the community. I know you've had the Bashley Collaborative, you've had your podcast. How do you view merging your minds together and your skills together to benefit the community and potentially something that you just care about in your marriage and feeling good too?
I don't know if it was ever an intentional thing for us. I mean, I mentioned, I would go to like his speaking engagements and sell his book in the back. So I guess that was always kind of our first like coming together. And I don't know if it was really working together because I wasn't the one up on stage, speaking or giving a keynote. But I think that's when people started to see us as a combined thing. And really it was just like, oh, if he's going to be here on a Saturday morning at this conference, I don't want to be sitting at home by myself. Let me go tag along and see what he's talking about, and do the same absorption of knowledge that he did as a child with his dad. So I don't know if there was any real intentionality behind it in the get-go. And then, as Billy stepped into leadership roles, especially with the Austin Young Chamber, I often got asked or voluntold to kind of take on roles as well. And again, we enjoy spending time with each other. So I was like, oh yeah, heck yes, I want to do that. That sounds wonderful. I mean, I don't know if it really started with a whole lot of intentionality until we got like a little bit further down the road. Then we were like, oh wait, maybe we've got something here. Like maybe we really need to like lean into this idea of us being complete opposites, totally different people, but somehow when we come together, there's a great secret magic sauce that happens and can just make things happen and wrangle other people along the way too.
I think it really started with just supporting each other. That's all it is, right? I mean, I think anytime in a marriage, right, you want to support the other person. And so her showing up when I'm speaking, I often was the backup or fourth or fifth string for to speak at some event that she was putting on. Like, oh, hey, the person that was going to speak canceled. Will you do it? Of course. Like, you can tell me 2 seconds from now I need to give a speech. I'm going to go do it. So it really came out of the support of each other and wanting each other to be successful. And then from there, we looked and said, well, why is this working, right? Well, it works because we're so different. My aggressive style versus her kind of laid back and allowing things to play out really works. The things that Ashley was able to do with the Young Chamber, with the Lead Summit, that came from me looking and saying, hey, I'm ascending to this leadership role as the chair. We've got a lot of work to do. Yeah. I don't think I can do that. And also, should I do that? If I'm the chair, should I also try to take this on? Why don't I try to delegate that to someone who I know is going to do it way better than I could, but also can have a similar vision? And, that's kind of how it's worked. And we are far better together than we are separate. We still have our own identities. We have our own careers. But the more things merge together, I feel like the more success that we have. And I think we've been able to see that not just professionally, but now as parents. I think we've been able to see that in a completely different way.
So I guess I'm curious about your individual missions, what matters to you, what's important to you. Where do they align and where do they not align? Where do you guys kind of choose your boundaries there?
I mean, I feel like our missions are completely aligned. I think just our styles of going about it are completely different. Like there might be some different words that we use. Like I think my biggest thing is just wanting to create more inclusive communities, and then I think for Billy it's building other people up. But you can see where in a Venn diagram of those two phrases, you can see where the overlap is in that. I think we just have two completely different ways of going about it, which is why I think our skills kind of come together nicely as a pair.
Yeah, I mean, we both are passionate about helping other people. I was brought up on that. I'm a son of a social worker. My mom worked with senior citizens her entire career. My dad, of course, in the leadership space, but also them together served as youth ministers at our church for 15 years. Volunteer, by the way. It was a full-time position now where people get paid to do it. They did it for free. So they had this other job. Yeah. Ashley, similarly, even though her parents have a completely different style from mine, she still was kind of brought up to care about people in the community. And I think that's kind of how we've bonded. And when we look at opportunities to work together, I think the first thing we're looking at is what impact can we make? And I think it goes back to when we're thinking about that question, how do you make the biggest impact? Is it by doing things on your own? Or is it by bringing people together? Is it by having help, right? In a business is all about multiplication, but you can't multiply when there's only one. Yeah. So you got to go to 2 and 3 and 4. That's where amazing things happen. We've been able to see that together.
So I want to talk a little bit about your podcast, which you started, I think, in 2018, ran through 2020, did 82 episodes. You're probably the first people I personally knew that started a podcast, which is 7 years ago. And I listen religiously all the time to everything that you did. I don't think there's really a timeliness to it in the sense that it's outdated today. Mm-hmm. So if someone wanted to hear more about your power as a couple, your leadership style, everything that you've done together, what are they going to get if they listen to I Do, We Do?
Some silliness.
Lots of silliness.
Yeah.
Cursing. I use that as an outlet to actually, be my full self. And being from the Northeast, my, verbiage is a little different than here in Texas. So you get to see that version of me.
Yeah, I think maybe in some way it could be seen as like unofficial couples counseling, because I feel like there were a lot of conversations that we had never had until there was a mic in between us. Like it forced some conversations and forced some reflection that I don't think that we ever truly like sat down and really thought about. So I think you can really get kind of like a peek into a couple's conversations around goals and values and history and background that brings them together and makes them unique and then makes them stronger together. We talk a lot about goal setting in that podcast. Communication. We put ourselves on a retreat at the end of the year for our goals, just to make sure that we're in alignment with one another. But we spend a lot of that time together separate. Like we lock ourselves basically in a hotel room. But it could happen in any place. I think in the pandemic, it happened in our own home. We just try to lock ourselves in to one room and really just focus on, the previous year, things that have happened in our past, what was good, what could have been better, and then really set those goals together. And I think we talked a lot about that process and how we do check-ins with one another through that time, how we like to hold each other accountable for those goals and understand where we can support each other in those goals as well.
Yeah, I think if you were to listen to the podcast, you'd hear a lot of maintenance for a relationship. Mm-hmm. If you think like any great relationship requires work, requires maintenance. Like just with a car, right? You've got to get an oil change, you got to rotate the tires. Like that maintenance a lot of times happened live in action on the podcast. And I think that's cool to hear. And, I think we never entered into the podcast, saying that we're relationship experts. We're certainly not. But we love talking about goals. We love talking about different personality assessments, leadership assessments. Mm-hmm. We probably did 5 episodes on different assessments that are out there, which is cool. Why do we do those? Because we want to better know each other. When we better know each other, we can understand how we can work better together, grow together. And let's be honest, why do relationships fail? Because people grow in different directions. How do you avoid that? You talk about it. Where do we want to go? Oh, great. That's a little different for me. Well, how do we pull that together? We tried to kind of do that and kind of model that for our listeners. And it created some cool opportunities. I think we talk a lot about bringing it back because I think we had it before we had a kid. We also announced we were having a kid live on the show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which is a really vulnerable episode.
Uh-huh.
We brought our podcast equipment into the delivery room and did an episode before our son was born. So, now I think as we talk about bringing it back, seeing how it would look as we have a kid who's almost 6 years old now, because life is different. We try very hard to not make it be different. But it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to change the subject now. Yeah. I think that's awesome. I encourage people to listen and really check out the podcast. 8 or 9 years ago, I scored a ticket to Book People. They had a Bruce Springsteen book signing when he came out with his autobiography, and I'm walking in the line and I see Billy and I'm like, you have a ticket too. So we stand in line together. I think we took each other's pictures or whatever, so we each got a picture with Bruce Springsteen. But you guys brought him up earlier. Ashley said tell me about this Bruce Springsteen thing, because we're going to go to break, we're going to come back, we're going to talk about some fun things, Austin things about life, but I want to start out with your love for Bruce Springsteen and maybe your couple's love, or maybe not, for Bruce Springsteen.
It's a toleration for me, but yeah.
She's a big Taylor Swift fan who literally, if you look at everything about Taylor Swift, she's definitely modeled her entire career after Bruce Springsteen. It's very obvious for everything that she's done, which is so cool.
Well, they're Philly. They're Pennsylvania people or something?
Bruce Springsteen's New Jersey.
Okay.
Fun fact, Taylor Swift and I were born in the exact same hospital in Reading, Pennsylvania. Cool.
Okay.
It's my claim to fame.
You're just a few years older.
Yeah, just a few years older. But Bruce, is, I believe, the greatest American poet. his words are the words of the last 50 years, and it's amazing how, what he wrote in 1975 can still, sing true today, and then seeing music that's just coming out now and it still just hits. So I've just always connected with Bruce. It's another thing that connects me back to my dad, because I can remember road trips going back and forth from Pennsylvania to Waco, where we'd listen to Bruce over and over to keep him awake, pretending to be Clarence Clemens on the saxophone, my dad would drive with his knee and do like the guitar moves and everything. But Bruce is kind of my childhood, and I have a lot of respect for him. He's also just the best live performance that you'll ever see. He's 75 years old and still goes 3 straight hours with no breaks. And so that day when we, saw Bruce, that was one of the greatest days for me, getting to meet him. I didn't get very much out because I was kind of starstruck, which doesn't happen to me often. And, still one of those things that I think back on. And, it was amazing. I've seen him 22 times in concert, which is nothing compared to the majority of the Bruce fans, the spring nuts as we call ourselves, that are out there. Ashley's probably joined on 7 or 8 of those.
I feel like I have to be at like 8 or 9 now. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, if he's anywhere close, I'm going to go check him out, especially now, because when you have someone that has that much talent and has had that much influence, and that their time is limited, you want to catch them as much as possible. And even if it's the exact same show, which it rarely ever is with him, it's always an experience. It's a religious experience, if that can connect with people. Like, not to like talk badly about religion in general, but like going to a Bruce concert is legitimately a religious experience where you are touched in your soul.
Yeah. I've just been listening to the Nebraska album, which is, I think, a like underrated album for sure.
He has there's a movie coming out about Bruce Springsteen in October. It's called, I just forgot what it's called, but it's
Jeremy
about
Allen White.
Yes, with the guy that's on the Bear, and it is about that Nebraska album.
Oh, it is,
because it was a pivotal moment in his career. Because again, he's this live music person, this rock and roll legend. But it's the words and his internal struggle and what he went through to record that album, which happened in basically a hotel room with just him. Like that, it's an amazing story. And that album is one that is very underrated. It's not a rock album. It's poetry.
Yeah, it's stripped down. It's the real message. It's the connection. I'll look for this. You'll look for your picture. I'll look for my picture. We'll put on social media channels.
I know exactly where mine is.
Bruce Springsteen.
I was like, his makes like his Facebook profile every couple months. I feel like we see it again.
I just switched it when not to get political, but when Bruce went after Trump and Trump went after Bruce recently. I switched it to me and Bruce just to stir up some controversy.
I love it. A political statement without saying anything at all. Well, we're going to shift to the future of your partnership and Austin's growth, talk a little bit about the future, as well as have some fun. So we're going to take a break from our sponsor, and we'll be right back from the Austin Eras podcast.
Calling all Austin business professionals and community leaders. Revitalize your after-work plans, and let's kick off a new tradition with the Austin Social Circuit. Join us for an evening of networking, great food and drinks, and even better company. Expand your circle, enjoy a laid-back vibe, and connect with like-minded Austinites. It's all happening the first Thursday of each month, with locations alternating between North and South Austin to keep things exciting. This initiative is powered by Collective Advisors. Find out the location of our next gathering and learn more by following Collective Advisors on Instagram and LinkedIn. Bring a friend, share the fun, and strengthen our Central Texas community. See you there, Austin.
And we're back with Billy and Ashley Moyer. Let's take a look ahead at your story and what it looks like for Austin. I'd love to call this the Good Hang segment. This is our second one doing this. The idea is really the idea of just getting to meet you personally and getting to know you. I feel like these are the fun parts of the segment, probably what we clip for social media, where you say something really fun or interesting, not that you didn't already. But I want to ask you, I mean, music is a big core of what we just talked about and big core of who I am and what I'm interested in. I'm curious about your most unforgettable live music experience you've had here in Austin.
Oh, I feel like there's a few, and I feel like maybe I'll get a little bit of hate for this one, but seeing Katy Perry on her I think it was called her California Dreams tour. It was like where California girls, like peak, I feel like peak Katy Perry, but I feel like I went to that concert shortly after I moved here, or maybe within my first year. And those songs were all over the radio. We were a little less like Spotify focused. Like you were still listening to the radio for the most part in your car. So it's just like those songs kind of take you back to a moment in time. And for me, I feel like that was a really fun moment at the old Frank Irwin Center.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like a very Austin moment. She talked about how much she loves coming to Austin and gained so much weight eating queso all the time. And it just felt like she really knew Austin. And then I was like, I'm here in Austin and I'm learning the city. And it was just such a fun tour for a fun time in my life. Like coming to Austin still, was married, but like early 20s where, you're still going out and having a lot of fun. So I feel like it kind of really represents that time in my life too.
Yeah, I think we're going to be unique, I think, in a lot of people in Austin that love the live music scene. We don't say we don't like the live music scene, but we tend to prefer like bigger acts and names. And so, if I think back, my first Bruce concert was here in Austin. It was in 2000 at the Frank Irwin Center. And that's an experience I'll never forget because it was my first one. I got to be there with my dad. Our favorite song is Jungle Land, and it's not a song he plays often, and he played it, which was emotional. And it's a song that I cry when he plays it, and I cry when he doesn't. It's that important to me. So I think back to that. I would say us together, though, the probably like most fun we've had at a concert, I think, in Austin was actually at the rodeo a couple years ago when we saw Boyz II Men.
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
Amazing. Yeah. Like Boyz II Men, think about, like, I love Boyz II Men, of course, being from Philly, but like Boyz II Men in a rodeo, we were sitting like on the dirt. It was amazing. It was the coolest thing I've
I think it was a combination of like, it was just a great show, but then also our seats were down like in the nasty after a rodeo had happened. And I think I accidentally wore sandals, not even thinking. So I think it just kind of added to the fun of the show because you wouldn't really think of Boyz II Men playing at a rodeo. I think those are just kind of two totally different like vibes in my mind, but like everyone was jamming out, having a great time. It was very like millennial Gen X crowd there, so it was a lot of fun.
We're suckers for nostalgia.
Yeah,
in a relationship. If you say, "Oh, someone from 20 years ago is playing," we're gonna want to see them because it's just so cool. I mean, seeing Backstreet Boys in Vegas, right? That takes us back to our
Blink-182 here a couple years ago and had the best time. Yeah.
So tell me about, we'll go a little bit further. What album or artist reminds you of Austin? So when you think about like, hey, I'm going to put this on, this is my Austin era. What is it?
Well, to lean into the era piece of this podcast, I mean, I'm going to default to Taylor Swift and her Speak Now album, which is the album that was out, or it came out while we were dating or right when we got engaged. And I was still living in the DFW area. So that was just the album that happened to be in my car. And it would be the one that I would listen to on repeat from my 3.5-hour drive from DFW down to South Austin. It's like I had to drive through all the Austin traffic to even get to him because he was so far south. So I think for me, I'm going to lean into a Taylor Swift era, and it's going to be the Speak Now era.
Yeah, I'd probably go Fall Out Boy. Specifically the song Sugar We're Going Down. I think about college. I was in college when that song was popular. I've got one of our friends still today, someone that we would jam out to that song all the time. So like it just reminds me of college. So even when I still hear it today, I'm like, like I still do exactly what I did. I can picture myself, being 20 years old and drinking illegally. It's awesome. Yeah.
All right, admissions on this podcast. I actually saw Fall Out Boy in college as well before they were famous. They played a small club show, and I still remember that experience of seeing them, and then watching them get booked a few years later, and then seeing the 5,000 people. So it's interesting to watch careers happen for some of these artists.
I mean, I know this is Austin eras, but since I've built up my Philadelphia fandom, I also can't not shout out Waco, where we've got some of the best Texas country music artists that are from Waco. Pat Green is from Waco. And then Wade Bowen, pride of Riker Catholic High School, where I went to college, or I went to high school. So Wade Bowen is one of my favorites, and from Waco, Riker Catholic High School, class of 1996.
That's incredible. Okay, so You guys have been involved in Austin, been all over the place. You got to see these leadership speakers growing up, but let's talk real celebrities. Have you had a run-in with an Austin celebrity or national name in a weird place, something unexpected, or what's kind of a fun story for Austin for you two?
This is always a tough one. I feel like Austin, what I've always appreciated about Austin is, I don't know if it's the case now, but that I've never seen Austin as a place where we get so crazy about celebrities.
We don't make a fuss at all.
Yeah, like, so I can remember having lunch at some point. I think it was on Congress somewhere, and Matthew McConaughey was sitting there eating as well, and it was he was just by himself. Nobody bothered him. Like, that's kind of what I think of, is that we don't make a big deal. I know, like, we used to nerd out all the time about when we'd see like the cast of the Bobby Bones show back when that was a thing in Austin. That was cool. But I don't know, like, if there's any, like, where I actually interacted. It's more of, ooh, cool.
Or I feel like the times that we've seen them, then it was, like, on purpose, like at a South by event, or you saw them speaking or something. But, yeah, I would say, like, the moments we've geeked out the most with the celebrity were, cast members from the Bobby Bones show, seeing Lunchbox on Dirty Six, or seeing Bobby Bones accept an award for Andy Roddick at the Austin Under 40 Awards several years ago.
And I mean, we got to see Lunchbox break up a fight on Dirty Six, which is still a cool memory. And I feel like he's the ultimate, like, exact same person on the radio as he is, like, in person,
it's
which
like
is
an
really
everyman
cool.
kind of.
Like, shout out Lunchbox. He's a great character, and he doesn't deserve all the hate that he still gets.
And he ran a marathon. Is that what you guys were telling me?
Yeah.
He literally just said, I can go run a marathon, and he ran one like the next day?
The next day. Yeah, it was a segment, and they talked about a marathon. He was like, I could do that. And
I think they started the show early for him, because like I remember like live streaming it from my office when I was working at Concordia University, and I was just like sitting there like, oh my god, the show's ending and we don't know if he's gonna finish. Like, it was like such a moment. And then I think you ended up seeing him actually finish the race.
He
finished over by St. Edwards.
Yeah, because that's where their studio was. So like I was there, I was close to St. Ed's, and I saw him running, and
people
had
so signs. Cool. Like, there was like, it was a
thing.
Dude,
that guy is a legend. Like,
do you know his finishing time? I mean, did he do it in under 4 hours?
There's it was over 4, because I think the show was 4 hours, so it would have been just over 4. But I think even
no training,
finish nothing. Training, I think that deserves some kudos.
So just a night out, like a fun place to go, something fun to do. If someone gave you $500, said you have to spend it one night in Austin, what are you doing? You're forced to spend it. You can't give it away.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we had thought about this before, we were talking about like, oh, we'll go to Uchi because it's, kind of the nicest restaurant. I was thinking, a month ago or whatever, we went to Loro, and it was awesome. And we'd had it before, but we just randomly had it. And then we ended up going a week later with your parents. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if we were going to go to a restaurant, that's a good vibe for us, because it's not like overly nice. You could still spend a lot of money but get a lot of food, and we like lots of food.
Yeah, right? And I think for us, we'd use the rest of the budget on a staycation. Like, we love a good staycation here in Austin. So if it's a moment that we can get a full night's sleep without our 6-year-old climbing into bed with us, like, that's a win. If we wanted to go
nostalgic, we would go to like Loro, and then we'd head downtown, right? And early, because we couldn't stay out late, we'd go to Pete's.
Yeah,
because Pete's is a big thing for us.
Oh, the piano bar?
Yeah, we went to Pete's Piano Bar in the DFW area the first night we met. We actually had people from Pete's at our wedding play, because we had a piano bar. It was amazing. So we are huge piano bar people. So I think if we like planned the perfect like night out, it'd have to be at Pete's, but it would have to be early because we're old.
Yeah.
This is kind of a random question, and maybe I'll direct it more at Ashley, since she's not as much the stage person as you are, Billy. But have you ever been on stage planned or unplanned in the city? What's a great memory there?
I don't know if I've ever been on a stage unplanned. I would imagine the only times that would have been unplanned is if Billy wrote me up there to, speak with him or anything. I don't know if that's a moment that I can really think of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always on stage. Even if it's unplanned, it's probably planned by me, because I see a stage and I want to get up there. But yeah, I can't think of any. The only thing I can think of is unplanned would be the first Lead Summit.
Oh yeah,
where I was the chair of the Young Chamber. It was also the first big event, really, with Alicia as the CEO of the organization, and she got sick. And so she actually missed it. And so I had to give her speech And I wanted to stay true to her. So I'm not really a reader of a speech type person, but I, followed her script and gave it for her. So that was unplanned and it was not natural for me. And also, I got some hate on that speech because people didn't like some of the things I said. I'm like, it wasn't my words. I was just saying Alicia's words.
Alicia was our guest, maybe episode 4 or 5. So if people want to go back and listen to her, she's really blossomed, right? We were at AYC when we had a leadership change. We had to hire someone new. Alicia was hired, and she's gone on to do amazing things.
I say that's one of my biggest claims to fame is that I had a small part in hiring Alicia and part of her leadership journey because she's a rock star.
Yeah, she is, and she was totally out of this. We did not expect to even find her in that job search at all.
Yeah.
Maybe you did, but I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I when her resume came in, it caught my eye, but I stuck to the process.
So we know Bruce Springsteen, we know nostalgia, we know Backstreet Boys. What's a random obsession people might not expect either of you to have? We know Philly too. Eagles.
Yeah, that I make that.
Yeah, that's a very obvious obsession that you have.
Do you have what's a random obsession for you? I mean, she has more obsessions than I do, I feel like, because she gets obsessed with things for a small period of time, and it's the only thing that she does, and then forgets about it.
Hyper-focus.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So like we started playing Wordle because my brother and his family play Wordle every day when we were in Philly recently. And now every day she's like, "Oh, did you do the Wordle today?" I'm like, "No, like I'm not obsessed with it anymore. It was a short-term thing."
It was a vacation, Billy.
So like, I don't know what are you obsessed with now?
What am I obsessed with now? I don't know. I got like into embroidery because I needed to get off TikTok because TikTok was too much of an obsession, and I needed to find a habit. So I feel like embroidery might be my thing right now.
I would say the thing for you, I don't know if it's an obsession. It's Gen Z. She's
I'm
with Gen
obsessed.
Z. She
Okay.
wants to be Gen Z.
The next generation.
She just Gen Z specifically. So she wishes she was Gen Z.
Okay. All right.
And for me, it's not as much of an obsession. It's like a phobia. I don't like to touch people. I don't like germs.
I think that's pretty obvious about you,
Is
though.
it?
Yeah.
Like people know that I really would prefer never to touch anybody and not be very close. Like this is close for me.
Yeah.
Like if it were like I liked COVID. Honestly, I don't have to touch people. I can wear masks. It was kind of good for me.
I think maybe your sweet tooth might be like an obsession that people don't know about.
Yeah. I love me some sweets.
Any favorite candy?
All of it.
All of it.
Snickers, though. Snickers is typically my breakfast, lunch, and lunch.
I wish he was joking.
Snickers and a Red Bull.
Protein in that, probably. You get some peanuts.
Nuts,
maybe?
yeah.
You get something.
Perfect.
Okay, I've got another question. If you had to start over at 18 in Austin, which I think you came to Austin at 18, right, Billy? What would you chase first? What would you do differently today than what you did when you came here?
I don't know if I would do anything differently. I think I kind of got set on the right path.
Yeah.
Getting plugged into networking groups, expanding, my own circle beyond, work and the few friends that I had here. So I don't know. I felt like I was on the right path. I think I see where your brain's going. So I'm going to go ahead and let you answer.
Oh, I mean, I would have bought a house right away. Like
Good advice.
Just
Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have not gone to college because there's not really a need for me. Still, most of
Don't say that.
I know what you do. I feel bad. I was like trying not to say.
That's
but
it. You guys are
I mean,
opposites in ways.
I
It's
love
okay.
St. Ed's. Like I enjoyed my time there, but the experience was good. But what I do today, I learned most of what I learned from not college. So. I would,
and that's an incredible privilege, and that's why
for sure. Yes,
college maybe isn't. You could see it as that.
Yeah,
just to
exactly. But
add
I would,
my own little footnote there.
Yeah, no, I would buy a property. I think even just if I went back to like right after graduating from college, like graduating in 2008, which still they would give a mortgage to anybody. I wish instead of taking the little cash that I had and getting a master's degree, I wish I would have just gotten a property, any property. Because I'd be much better than that master's degree. Sorry. Just being honest.
I love it. And Ashley, it sounds like you have advice for Gen Z, which is go to college?
Go to college,
Okay.
yes. I think it's, again, a privilege to be able to learn from a parent, to kind of get put on a career path from a parent.
Yeah.
It's not a privilege that everyone has, and college is the opportunity for most people to gain those opportunities. So I'm like, I feel like I need to make that very clear before the anti-college hate comes out.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be anti-college, but my message to Gen Z would be, why do we have to wear such baggy pants? Don't understand what's the...
I think a lot of 90s, 90s style is coming back. Yeah, it's the Janko, whatever.
Yeah, let's tighten the pants. Come on.
Coffee shop or dive bar?
Dive bar.
I was going to say coffee shop because I'm just not a big drinker these days.
Yeah, but dive bar, like, cooler conversations. I mean, a coffee shop, I like listening to other people's conversations and hearing what's happening. But dive bar, you can connect with the bartender. You can see somebody pass down on the bar. Like, so much cool stuff. Yeah.
Zilker or the Greenbelt?
Zilker, probably. But honestly, neither.
I was going to say neither.
If we had to pick, it'd be Zilker, but probably neither.
Tacos or barbecue?
Tacos.
For sure.
I like it. You guys are on top. Do you have a favorite taco spot here in town?
Breakfast tacos, Veracruz.
Yeah,
is our go-to
Veracruz,
right now.
just all around. Yeah.
Okay, we'll call it Veracruz, and then South by Southwest. Love it or leave it?
I love it.
I love it. Yeah, I'm into it.
Have you gone recently?
When we lived downtown, we did lots of stuff.
That was not recently.
That was a long time ago, so it's been a while. But I just like...
I think there's so many like pop events, so it's hard to say of like, yes, have you done it? But no, I've not carried a badge and done South by.
Yeah, not recently, but it's just so fun. Like, there's so much going on, so many free events. Like, I don't see how you can have
see a lot of
South by.
Austin there too. Like, you can be at events and see people that you haven't seen in a while, and you're meeting people from all across the world at the same time. And I think it's something that's cool and unique about Austin.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, no shade, but like, if you don't like South by Southwest, you're just a hater. Come on.
Well, the convention center remodel
changes
its staff with South by. Things are changing, which leads me to the future of Austin. So let's talk here a little bit. But I mean, what are your hopes for Austin as a city? I mean, it comes to equity, comes to civic leadership, when it comes to creative community. Where do you guys stand? Where do you want the city to go? What's your vision?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy thing to say is affordability. You want to make sure that, Austin is accessible to everyone that wants to be here. And I think one of the only ways that can happen is by going up and going high density. But I think when I think about individuals, I always think of Austin, some ways, seems to be a revolving door of folks. You have people who come in and do a few-year stint and then maybe go off to someplace else. But recognizing that there is a strong community here, recognizing that while it may be a temporary spot for you, that this is home to so many people who have given their all to the city, and they may not have the same perspective as you, who are coming here for this glamorous experience of I'm going to be here for a couple years and then go off somewhere. That they might be coming in with a little more of a jaded view on Austin, and recognizing that both are valid, but you got to kind of work together now to really make this city the best for everyone.
Love that.
Yeah, I think Austin's grown a lot. Even as growth slows down, it'll pick back up again. But I think as you grow, you also have to grow up. And I think Austin over the years is really avoided growing up.
Yeah.
And you see that again, even in our leaders, as they're aging, we don't have people replacing them. How do you do that? You grow up. You realize, hey, we're not what we used to be. That's okay. Like, we don't ever want to be who we used to be. We should be better. Like, I'm a sucker for nostalgia, but I would never want to truly go back to who I was or where I was, because I'm always focused on where I want to go. So I think that's what we have to do in Austin. Grow up, focus on where we're going, and what it was in the 80s and 90s, cool. So I'm not going to be that again. Never.
Yeah.
It's gone. So let's be better.
So I hear grow up from a density population standpoint. I hear grow up from a city standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, to me, at least what I'm hearing is the city's going to have tough decisions to make. And sometimes there's easy to make like the fun decisions, but the tough decisions are the ones that aren't popular.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about, again, the leadership side of things and why it's so important to diversify the leaders of this city, if we're not doing that and the leaders are still the same leaders as 20, 30 years ago, the decisions back then weren't so great. So if they do that again, we're going to be in trouble. Like, maybe changes in leadership is good. We can get different opinions and, contrary to popular opinion, diversity is kind of a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
what
not a bad
popular
word,
opinion
I
is
promise.
right now.
Yeah,
Just
it's
look
a good
at the
thing.
state.
Yeah, it's. I know. That might be.
The legislation.
Yes.
I get it.
A lot of but it's good. Like diverse opinions, diverse people. Like I would love to see Austin really get far away from where we were in the 1920s when that city plan came out, and the city was so segregated. And the reality is, we still see a lot of that today. So I don't know, diversify leadership, bring people together, actually care about people, not try to kick people that are experiencing homelessness outside of the city limits so people don't see them. Maybe instead we can try to help them. That could be cool.
Yeah.
Soapbox.
Let's talk about the two of you. What does collaboration look like for the next 10 years? What are your shared goals and beliefs that you want to attain next?
Yeah, we have lots of goals since we do our retreats every year, and we plan a year out, but then we go further out. Honestly, I think we want to continue growing together and continue to explore what that looks like, not just as the two of us. We did our podcast as I Do, We Do, thinking of us as two, but now there's three. And with our son and allowing him to experience things through our eyes, dragging him to things like I got, taken to as a kid. I think our future is built around the three of us growing together and doing really cool stuff, trying to lead as many ways as we can, and just trying to be decent human beings. I think that's the biggest thing that we can do for him is, show him the world that we want to see, and then actually try to be those types of leaders. I know I struggle with that more than Ashley, but I don't know if you have anything different.
Yeah, and I think when I think about the two of us, I think, we like building a lifestyle that allows us to pivot, which I think from the outside can seem like that looks like we have no goals, but for us, it's like being open and being able to make those changes in life if something really awesome or amazing comes along, whether that's here in town or, doing a stint somewhere else. I think we've had dreams of doing like a family Spanish immersion trip, but being able to, build a lifestyle that would allow us to be able to go live in a different country, experience another culture, another language, something of that nature.
Yeah, I think everything that we talk about in terms of our goals is typically about experiential type things. Like we don't, aspire to have a bunch of stuff. We do have a bunch of stuff that we shouldn't have. But yeah, we want to experience the world, experience cultures, go to games, taking our son to his first baseball game. When I got the Austin Under 40 award last year, he came and got to experience and go on the stage. Like that's a cool memory. He still
cool.
remembers that.
I don't know if I was
I
there
think
for that.
There.
No,
yeah.
I really wish I had
just,
been there.
Honestly, people remember me because of him, and I'm like, cool. That's how I want them to remember me.
People remember you because of your father. It's
exactly.
Yeah, I love
so
the
cool.
generational.
I don't know. I think we did not want to have kids, and then it happened. But I think it's so cool now that we are parents to see what life looks like with someone that wants to be just like you, is going to become just like you. Like for me, as someone that's spent his whole life in the leadership space, I don't know how I never wanted to be a parent, because it's the ultimate leadership responsibility. And I think all of our goals are tied to him now, which is cool. But it doesn't mean we're going to do things like go to see Blippi. We're going to do the things that we want to do and let him experience.
But we did go
things
see Blippi a couple years ago.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
And it was a great show.
Yeah,
it was a great show for kids.
Was it?
Yeah, I loved
cool.
it.
It was cool. Yeah. I mean, the best part was when he cried when it was over, when Lincoln did. He was so upset that it was over. It was hilarious.
Well, I'd advise adults that don't have kids, do not Google Blippi, do not watch Blippi. But if you have kids, Blippi.
Dude's worth $100 million.
Yeah.
I wish I was Blippi.
I think he even has people that dress like him, so he doesn't even have to show up to
It's like the
stuff.
third Blippi now.
Yeah. We have multiple Blippis now. Yeah.
If you could meet and talk with one Austinite, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Ooh.
I've received some really interesting answers. I'm very curious what your answer would be here.
Huh. Wow, that's a good one.
It is a good one. I'm a little stumped right now.
I mean,
Well, then we just talked about Brene Brown earlier. So
Yeah.
I mean, she's
knowing
cool, yeah.
knowing that she's here, I think that would be a really interesting conversation to have, especially with our takes on leadership and hearing her take on leadership. That could be a really cool conversation.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I don't know. Leslie?
Bring back Leslie.
I mean,
Did you ever get a chance to meet Leslie?
yeah, I saw Leslie all the time, and I always say hi. And
Yeah.
I think I remember one actual conversation, which wasn't much of a conversation, but I don't know. I feel like when people are nostalgic for old Austin, like I just think about Leslie. So bring Leslie back.
Love it.
That would be awesome.
Bring Leslie back.
From the dead.
Yes.
Well, we've been talking forever. I really appreciate the time. It was so much fun getting to talk to you guys. It feels like we had to do this podcast just to catch up.
Yeah.
But it was great. You guys are so exciting to me in the sense of what you've done for Austin, where you're going, and what you're doing in your careers. So thanks again to Billy and Ashley for joining us on the Austin Eras podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, rate, and share it. And for more stories like this, head to austineras.com.
Austin Eras, featuring Adam Flagg, is brought to you by Collective Advisors. Collective Advisors offers investment advisory services through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Guests on Austin Eras are not affiliates of CWM LLC, and opinions expressed by guests may not reflect those of CWM LLC. This show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal, tax, or other professional advice. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a qualified professional.